What toys we played with? Oh, we talking about that today. Prince Albert can flattened out and nailed it to a board and turn the edges up, and you take the rim off of a wagon, the inside rim on the hub, and you make a wheel in the paddle and you roll it around.
That's what we used as cars.
We get on the wagon tongue and ride it and go, get up, pudding and pudding, there come old Raleigh, man.
And we used to take the axe and go cut us a straight up persimmon tree that was tall, but
Had a little.
didn't have, but wasn't very much diameter to it. Had a little, cut the limbs off and except the bottom one, we'd leave it about that long. Had a set of Tommy walkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we walked on them. They
We
call
walked-
them fields today.
Yeah, that's right. We called them Tommy walkers.
Well, we get us pole too for a prize and talk. We talk
Yeah.
prize over the fence.
Yeah, go over
Yeah,
the
you
fence. with it.
sail over a fence.
Made us a seesaw, we'll put it across the fence.
Yeah.
They're flying jennies when we used to.
But we made our own balls.
Yeah, we made our own ball. We
played balls a lot and made our own balls.
we had anything to play
And
with, we
bats.
had to make it.
We made bats too.
Played on the scotch.
Yeah.
Yes, an old piece of broken glass. Throw it up.
Yeah,
we
no,
didn't have bought toys.
When we got a little older, we played baseball with the boys.
And football.
And, yeah, but baseball really was, I remember John, Jerry.
well, I tell him Jerry had, well, when we went up there at church Labor Day, I said, you know, we invented the first wireless communication. I said, Bill, you used to holler across the holler at y'all, do you want to come over and play ball? He said, yeah, I remember. And he said, you remember when we got electricity, they cleared that right away out so you could really hear it.
And Helen named that Hoop and Holler.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, they're happy in our house after they put the electricity in. They cleared that up.
But I was 14 years old before we ever got electricity. I remember it very well.
Too. We were the first ones in Mount Olive to get it. And had their own telephone too.
Oh.
Yep, that cell phone wasn't our doings. That was just
The community.
community. Yeah, it's a public telephone in there. It rang about
3 long rings was ours.
That's what I asked this whole day. I thought our ring was 3 long.
But Boswell's was, it wasn't, I don't remember theirs, but
It was a long and 3 short.
but you could pick the receiver up and listen in all the time.
Right.
Well, they had to have some kind of entertainment. It'd rain maybe 3 times a year. Then we'd have to go get them. Whoever it was might have to walk 4 miles
Yeah,
to go get them. It just scared them to a telephone call for me. You know, even after we moved to Batesville, I'd be in California somewhere and I'd call Mama. And she said, where are you? I said, I'm in Los Angeles, Mom. Well, you sound so close. I just can't believe you're that far away. Then she'd go talking louder. Mom, you don't have to yell no more. I remember one time I went and got Ben Branson. He was scared to death. And then you have to come back, pick the old phone up, old year, and ring the thing. And she'd ask you your number. And then you'd have to call them back and talk to operator number 2 or something. Then they'd reconnect you with whoever it was that called. But you're always afraid there's going to be bad news.
Oh.
I'm not telling no.
I am. There was a curve down foot of the hill. That first curve coming out of Mount Olive there. And
It's a sandbed.
it was a sand bed. And we'd go down there and play in it. We'd pack dirt around our foot. And then we'd ease our foot out real easy. And we called that frog houses. And we'd make them all the time. And then when John and Jared come over to get the mail, everybody always walked.
Nobody wore
And-
shoes.
Yeah, well, we're barefoot, especially John. Well, he'd always come and jump right in the middle of it. tear them all up. Well, one day we found a big cow pile right there, and we covered it up real good. Well, here he comes. Sure enough, he got it. Oh. I don't know if it broke him or not, but I doubt it.
Well, no.
I just remember us happy to find that cow pie. I did.
Yeah, we all did.
Well, we
I
had
milked.
cows to milk,
I milked cows.
and everybody let their cattle run out together. It was free range. And we had a dog that he really good. His name was Chief. And he'd hear us get the milk bucket out of the cabinet, and he was gone. And the cattle I'd be 2 or 4 miles from the house. But he'd find them, and they'd all be together. But he'd go in and pick out the cows that we milked, and he'd bring them home by himself. And somebody killed him. He disappeared anyway.
I don't remember that. I remember going after cows myself one time.
Well, I remember old Chief was going after him. I got a picture of him somewhere, him and Corky.
Washing the dishes, one thing we always hated.
Well, no wonder you had
You had to,
to go to the river and get you some water and fill out the pan, build a fire and stove, heat the water up, and then wash the dishes.
yeah, man.
But for a party, we used to have taffy pullings, and y'all always liked that because you got to pull taffy with the boys, and then they cut little short pieces and hold it in the mouth. That's candy biting. Damn. I ain't care nothing about it. I was the most kissed boy there was. They play game, them girls act like they didn't want to kiss the boys, and they come kiss me, and I just hated it. They smelled it. Sandra still hates you today because they done me that way. I still don't kiss. Well, when school, I didn't go at, I did go at Mount Olive. Daddy built the school out. It just went to 8th grade, but the girls went to school, and I could go to school with them, and I did a lot of time. And especially I like to go up at recess and play with them. But then when it consolidated with Calico Rock, had riding back a truck up there at Piney Creek and then walk across that swinging bridge and catch a school bus on the other side. And I think it was Sid McMath, wasn't it, that's running for governor one time, and he was in Melbourne campaigning, and Daddy met him and he asked Daddy to vote for him. And Daddy said, if I was to vote for you, he said, you never would know me anymore. He said, you vote for me. He said, now I get to be governor. Said, if you're ever in Little Rock, said, you come to the Capitol. He said, you come in, and said, I'll let you sit in my chair and put your feet on my desk. Said, I'll give you a cigar. Daddy said, all right, I'm going to vote for you. Well, he did, and he got to be governor. Well, I guess this time Daddy working for the railroad. He was in Little Rock for some reason. He thought about that, and he went up. They asked him if they could help him. He said, yeah, I'll come see the governor. He said, well, you got an appointment? He said, yeah, I got an appointment. Said he told me to come see him. He said, well, go on in. So he went in. Daddy said, you remember me? Said he got up. Said, sit down here in my chair. Said, put your feet on my desk. Said, here's your cigar. He said, what can I do for you? He said, well, kids at home's all got to climb a tree to go to school. He said, what are you talking about? And he told him about, he had to climb up that tree and walk across that foot swinging bridge, catch school bus. He said, I didn't know there any places left like that in Arkansas. But then I reckon it's about 2 weeks later, the Corps of Engineers was down there and built that bridge that we crossed today, where a school bus could come on down to Mount Olive and pick everybody up. And that's the story of the Consolidated with Calico.
And we always walked up to the schoolhouse and caught the bus.
Yeah, had to walk up to school. Yeah, we still had to walk to school out and catch the bus.
Washington's come down off that mountain, they bring a lantern.
Yeah,
leave it in the church house, wouldn't they?
But before then, before consolidation, we went to the Mount Olive School.
Right.
And that's one of my best memories
Yeah.
of going to that school. It's a one room school. And everybody carried not everybody.
Everybody read something, carried
Eh.
it.
Anybody had anything to eat here?
Well, we didn't, but some of the kids did. They had carried either an egg sandwich or
Yeah.
some of their parents deer hunted.
Oh,
They'd be deer meat sometimes.
yeah,
But,
but they eat over in the corner by their
but
tail.
we just got used to not eating lunch.
Well, the school was a lot different too, because the whole 8th went up to the 8th grade. They were all in the building at the same time, but one grade at a time was
That's
held up on the stage and had their lessons.
That's right.
And everybody else sat back and
Yeah, well, and we sat quiet while we were all in an open area, just sitting there. And Aunt Leo taught us once, and she'd say, "All right, first grade, come on up." And they'd come up and sit in this very front row, and she would teach them. And then they'd come back, and she'd say, "All right, second grade," and that's the way it worked. And if you wanted to go to the bathroom, we had an outdoor toilet, and she had a sign. You either could do this, and she'd give you permission. She finally put a sign that said in on one side and out on the other. And then you'd go turn that sign. But two people could not go at the same time, except Marilyn Moody'd slip out sometimes.
she went out there and smoked.
Yeah.
Aunt Leo was the only lady or only school teacher to ever whip me. And I think she done it just because we lived across the road from her.
She
Thought
went,
she whooped Kate. Yeah.
she went me.
I know me, before getting up, the grader was coming down the road. And I was 5 years old, I guess. And I got up and went to the door and looked down. I wanted to see the grader. She made me sit down and I didn't go back to school.
Daddy said, anyway, she's too little to go to school anyway, and she didn't go. She didn't go until the next year.
Oh,
She went
Marilyn
one
Moody.
day.
Well, she didn't have any right to whip me because
I tell
I put the wrong problem on the boat. And that's the only reason she whipped me.
Well, she whipped me one time because it's cold. We had a heater, no wood stove, and we'd gather around it because it was, in the winter it's cold. And she told us to sit down, and I didn't sit down, and she whipped me for it. It wasn't bad. It was just,
Remember Marilyn Moody?
That's one I was going to tell about. Marilyn Moody. She had a big safety pin seat of her britches. She backed up that wood stone, got it real hot, and then went and sat down. Burned the blister on her butt.
but back to that one-room school. We really enjoyed it. We had a 30-minute recess of a morning and 30-minute in the afternoon. And we played town ball or any kind of game. It was,
Pop a wheel.
yeah, we did.
Y'all wouldn't let me play that way because the little one always got slung over the bank.
But all the kids were really close. Everybody knew each other. There wasn't any, I don't like them, I don't like them. Everybody it was like one big family.
One teacher for 8 grades.
Yeah.
They finally divided it up to 2 teachers. They put that curtain in halfway. And y'all remember what Charlene
I do.
done? Well, Charlene and Maxine,
Yeah.
they were together. They put this big, it's a green curtain, half this school, and the smaller ones had 2 different teachers then. They had one to,
They divided the building.
yeah. So they had to, but when Charlene and Maxine Moody made the curtain to go through there. And our cousin was one of the teachers.
she was qualified, but they tired her anyway.
Is that Elder?
No, it was Nita,
Nita
Titton's oldest sister.
Jeffrey. And anyway, she complained about they had some material left or something. And they was wanting to know, I don't know how it got in there or whatever. But anyway, Charlene and Maxine went up there and took what little material they had left and made a great big pair of drawers.
And put some lace on the
on the
leg.
legs.
Yeah.
And wrapped it up and took it down there and threw it in the door of
her room.
her room while she was teaching school. She unwrapped that and held it up. Yes, everything.
Well, someone pretty much covered it a while ago. After we consolidated, we rode in the back end of a pickup truck. We came to this bridge we just crossed, except there was no bridge. This is the bridge Lynn told about. Daddy got them to build, and we had this tree they nailed boards across the bottom about like that, and we could climb up on it. There wasn't but about 3 or 4 steps up that tree, and that it was connected to the swinging bridge. And so we went up this 3 or 4 steps and got on the bridge, and a school bus picked us up on the other side. That was after consolidation, and no, a lot of times we didn't have any lunch because Dad didn't have money a lot of the time to buy our lunch, which was 20 cents a meal. And so we just go to school and not eat lunch, all day. And when we were in the elementary, before we started going to Calico, we never had lunch. We didn't think anything about it, though. Other kids would carry their lunch sometimes, most of them, but we didn't. We didn't have anything. We just didn't think anything about it. I didn't. Did you?
And I never did see a fat person in our.
We didn't have
no
any
fat.
fat people.
I remember at Calico that I'd go out there under a walnut tree and get me a couple of rocks and go cracking me some walnuts for lunch. A bunch of them kids got out there and got throwing walnuts at each other one time. I like to ball. They're throwing my dinner away. Walnuts laying there for her.
Well, I remember Catherine used to bring good lunches.
Yeah, they did.
Then they bring apples. And I'd ask Carol for her homework. Yeah, I ate that a lot.
I know after we started going to Calico, I got called into the superintendent's office one day. I thought, oh man, what have I done? And went in there and he said, well, I've noticed you had been eating for I don't know why. I said, I ain't got no money. And he said, well, I'm gonna put you on free tickets. So he gave me free lunch tickets.
Well, what'd you do to get him to do that? Because I didn't get any.
I ain't
Daddy went up there later and got us free.
Did he? I never
He
did.
used to say somebody else gonna put my ticket in.
I did that. I used to say, Gert's got my ticket. Because I come out of basketball practice. Well, my basketball practice was right before lunch.
Yeah.
And I come out tired and hungry. And I didn't have any lunch. And I would tell Charlene Dunn collected the tickets there at the door at the lunchroom. And I'd say, Gert's got my ticket.
Well, I worked in the
I
lunchroom.
lied.
That too, I know she did.
I worked in the lunchroom for 2 years.
Well,
I worked-
did too.
I worked there too in my senior year.
Washed dishes.
Well, I didn't do that.
Well, I did.
Remember serving milk.
They'd all line up for
Served
lunch and get ready for one another. Up there, I just go get in line. One day, Miss Speaks up there, she sent me up to Mr. Jeffries.
They went to school at Mount Olive, both of them. But like we said, Mount Olive didn't go up through high school. They only went through 8th grade and then back to only through the 7th grade before they consolidated. So they did go to school there. After Charlene finished Mount Olive, she came to Batesville to live with Granny and Granddad. They lived over on Bog Street. And she lived with them, and that's where she ended up graduating from Batesville High School. By the way, she walked from Bog Street, if you know where it is, over to where Rock Street, where the high school was then. And she went to work after.
She went to college too for a while.
Well, she went to Bethel College for a summer. That was all.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And she went to work at Weaver's Cafe after she graduated. She worked there for a while, and then she went to work with the telephone company. Cut, after she got through, finished Mount Olive School, she went to Batesville to live with Charlene to work that summer, and she didn't want to come home. She said she wasn't going to go back to school, so she never did. Charlene tried to get her to go to Batesville School, but she wouldn't do it. Said she wouldn't do it, so she never did finish school.
Well,
Yeah.
I went up there once,
yeah, and Marie went to Melbourne one year.
And she went to singing school too.
but that was only after I'd gone as far as I'd go up Mount Olive. They didn't offer 8th grade,
That's right.
so I went to Melbourne. Gert and Daddy rented a little tiny house for us, and we lived there. And I went through 8th grade, and Gert went through 10th grade. And the next year, this was because they were still having school at Mount Olive, and they were not running bus to Calico yet. And so the next year, they were running that's where crossing the bridge, swinging bridge. But anyway, they started bringing the bus down, and so I went back and went to start school at Mount Olive, and Gert did at Calico, and Gert did too.
Well,
And
Daddy said, you may go to school barefoot and hungry, but you're going to go to school.
Yeah.
Daddy was a smart man. He was really high on education. Education was really important to him. We probably learned as much from him as we did at school, because we had to do it at home, and he'd set it down, make us spell words and figure out problems and everything else. So he taught us, I guess, as much as we learned at school.
He did that, but also let's tell about Kangaroo Court.
Yeah.
Daddy held Kangaroo Court, which consisted of him sitting down, pulling up a chair in front of him, telling you to sit down. This is when you got in trouble, with a razor strap across his lap.
Off that razor strap sounded like a shotgun. You got about that high.
Now tell me why you did that. It just petrified you nearly.
I'm scared of him, really.
Well, we all was.
But do you ever
He was
remember him
rough.
whipping us?
No, yeah, one time he did whip me one time, but I deserved it.
Oh. He did. He whipped Paula one time, and he pulled our drawers down and
Right in front of Frank's side, and whipped my bare butt because I threw a
pair of scissors.
no, it's foul.
No, what?
Oh, it was
It was
foul.
foul. I threw a foul at Marie because I was mad at her because she got the pot salt and I didn't.
And it stuck in my heel.
Well, I knew it hit you on the heel.
It hit my heel.
Yeah, it stuck. Hey, I remember y'all. I don't remember it happening, but I remember talking
That's
about it.
because you wasn't here.
That's right. Part of the reason why I don't remember.
I wasn't very old then either, but I did get mad at her that day.
They wasn't very proud of me when I
I don't
born. They
remember how hard he whipped, but I sure do remember it being embarrassed the dickens out of me.
said, Daddy come in, got them all up, and said, "Come in here and look at your little baby brother." And Bruce come in and looked, said, "Another squishy old baby."
She raised Lynn pretty bad. And she loved sitting, listen to the radio and rock him. And she'd get him out of bed to sleep and rock him this
Get out of work.
yeah.
Mama'd say, y'all get your hoe and come on, we're going to the garden. Gert grabbed Lynn.
Yeah.
Then she always told me I owed her. She owed me, didn't she?
And we come home from garden work one afternoon. We had to work in the garden an awful lot. Come in one afternoon, we had hobos a lot because we lived there on the railroad track, and there was always hobos in those boxcars. Gert invited one in to eat.
He eat up herself.
He'd always, I drank a whole crisper full of milk. We didn't have no cornbread and milk.
I remember Ruth and I were sitting on the gate post down there one time, and here came this, we called them buns, up off the track toward us and scared us to death. He had a real long beard, and Mom was sitting on the back porch peeling apples. And we come up, we told her that there was a bun coming. Oh, well, he was used to those. And when he came around the corner where she could see, she said, oh, mercy.
She jumped up and ran. The apples went everywhere.
Yeah, and when if me and Ray didn't want Ruth and Kate following us around places, we'd get old Bloody Bones and crowds into them. We scared the far out of them.
Yes, you did.
Well, they were imaginary people that lived in the attic.
He wasn't imaginary to me.
But Polly Mudd, there was Blue Bones and Blue Scrodgeons and Polly Mudd and Scrawny Witch.
Mm-hmm.
And
We moved down.
we threatened them. We threatened y'all all the time with Blue Buns, Blue whoever.
Bloody Bone.
Bloody Bones, that's right. Yeah.
Bloody
Yeah,
Bones.
But I used to dress up as Scrawny Witch and scare you too.
Yeah, but when we moved down Hugh's place, they lived in that closet.
Well, yeah.
And
Yeah.
We played in that closet all the time, but I don't know why we didn't think he said they was in there then.
I guess we told you there's a pass.
Probably. Yeah. It's like,
They did. Anything to be terrified. You know, we talking about going to school. I remember even when we moved to Batesville, I was in the 5th grade. I come home, I said, I gotta have shoes. Them kids wore shoes to school. And I was the only one there that didn't have no shoes on. They couldn't believe that. We'll stay around. I don't know. This for being the way I'm being. I can't think of any special way I would want to be remembered.
That's a good person.
yeah, well, yeah. Just being one of the big family.
Yeah.
Now that's a hard question.
It is.
Well, yeah. I was asked that one time, what do you want on your tombstone? I said, dead. I don't know. Told Mike he could preach for a funeral. I said, but don't be in no hurry about it. He don't need to be practicing nothing.
Well, I don't want to be remembered as that negative person.
I'd say I want to be remembered as my contribution to society was being a godly person.
I suppose. Was he?
Oh, you tell me.
I don't know. I ain't worthy to judge nobody, and I ain't going to. That's a hard thing not do.
Yeah, I don't have any specific thing. I'll leave that up to the levy.
Do you know that's one thing that we never heard her mom and daddy say the word love, I don't believe. Mom and daddy never told me they loved me. I never heard them tell each other they loved.
Do you ever remember being hugged? You probably were hugged. I don't remember us being loved on.
There wasn't
They-
affection.
No,
What?
Mama would, Daddy wouldn't.
When Daddy showed his affection, he was like,
Yeah,
"That's my puke."
Yeah.
I'm ready to put a
Walk
cigar in
up
case
behind
back
you and
pocket.
kick
He got a whipping.
Kicking the seat of pants.
Yeah.
Pants.
He called us his pukes, his frogs. That's my pukes. Ma let my puke go when he'd start somewhere and she'd say, "You don't need to go with him, you come back here," and he'd say, "Ma, let my pukes go."
But they didn't really discipline us. Like they didn't tell us, "Don't stand up there."
Yeah.
Doing that like that.
You thinking about when you
Yeah.
got slung off the back of the car.
If
Drop.
Eddie said, "Y'all better sit down there,"
But they
behave,"
didn't.
But they didn't. We would have sat down.
We,
We would have minded.
looking back, they really did a lot for us, but yet we kind of raised ourselves. I guess they trusted us to do it. I don't. They did. They were real strong morally on us. Telling Mama was, especially Daddy wasn't. He didn't talk, as much as she did about moral issues. They wanted to make sure that we were strong moral people, not bad people.
Oh, that's old straight tater.
There was when we lived at Boswell, his family moved in over there by the tracks. And one of the boys, there was two of them.
Yeah,
Well, the older one, I guess.
yeah.
Got struck on me. And he'd come over the house too and sat. And we called him Sweet Tater for
Well, he couldn't talk plain. He'd
Well,
say,
we gave him sweet potatoes.
yeah.
Well, he called him Sweet
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 potatoes.
Sweet Taters.
He called them sweet potatoes. He couldn't talk plain.
Yeah. And one night he was over there, and I was sitting probably on the couch, and he was sitting across from me or something. And Ruth got between us. He said, "Wolf, move! I can't see tight." I got teased about that.
Ruth used to go down where our entertainment, she'd go down when we lived at Boswell, store in front of, and people would gather there, sit on the front porch and talk. Ruth was taking shorthand, and she'd go down there and write everything down, shorthand practice. And she'd come back and read it to us of a night, and it was all funny. Old Albert Vine said, "Well, it appears like to me that," and old Buster Duck, "Well, I am what I am," and we'd get a big kick out of it reading that.
There's one thing I'd like to tell, and this was the Mount Olive School building Daddy built.
Albert Vine is here.
And of course, after school consolidated, it sat empty for years and years. Y'all have probably all seen it. But I guess it's been about 6 or 7 years ago when Smith bought it. This guy from Melbourne bought it, and he redid it on the inside. He said when he bought it, he realized how solid building it was outside, how sturdy, because it's built out of rock. Y'all have seen it. But the inside had deteriorated, so he redid it. He lives there today. It's very pretty on the inside. But the last few years, we would get together and go back to Mount Olive. And we'd always stop to see him. And he'd take us through that building showing us his progress. And so after he'd completed the house, he was working out back on the summer kitchen. And they'd just poured concrete. And he told us, he said, "You girls get you a rusty nail and write your name on that." And so we did. Wrote our name on that. And to this very day, we've got our names on the back of that school building.
He said, just well, put them on there. They're all over the inside anyway.
That's what he told me. That's what he told me. Because I'd written on the inside of that old school building, Marie Long. I'd just written it everywhere.
It had a stage up there, and we used to pretend we put on plays and that stage, and we'd go up there and play and practice. And some people moved in it, lived in it. Then they put hay in it. It's a multi-purpose building. He bought it.
Except Paula said she didn't write hers real well.
I didn't, and then I think it kind of run together.
Did it? Oh, mine tell. Did yours?
I think so. I cut mine pretty deep.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I haven't been back up there since.
We hadn't been back since. It's been about 3 years since we've been.
Been long.
Has it been longer than that?
Time flies. Can't believe
I know we went back several times while he's working on
It
it.
took him a long time to redo it.
we're talking about Ruth. Ruth was really talented. I've wondered a lot just where she would be if she had lived. Because she could draw. She was good. She's all the time drawing me pictures. She's all the time whittling me out little windmills and stuff like that. And she'd write a lot of poetry. Remember when we moved up there out on Miller Creek, we had all the mice in the house. She wrote a poem about them mice. I wish I had that. But
Y'all would love Ruth. She was so witty. She was just funny.
She drew me a couple pictures of cartoon characters
yeah.
one time, and I carried those in my clipboard all through school.
Well, I remember one she drew. She had an old boy come and had two rabbits in one hand holding down and a sack of turnips over his back. And said the Hoover days are here again. But she's really good. She's smart on things like that.
I remember before I started school, we still lived up in where we were all born. And she'd come home from school and show me what she'd done at school. She said, "Don't you wish you went to school? Don't you wish you went to school?"
I do remember that one year that I was talking about me and Paula hoed all that corn, and you and Ruth had went to Batesville and stayed with Charlene and Nina. And me and Paula's left there, and them old roads was a mile long, and Johnson grass was 3 foot tall, and the corn was 2 foot tall. And boy, it was hot. And we decided we'd drink up. Daddy had to have water. We'd try to drink up all the water and he'd go home. That didn't work. So we went to the truck and eat all the Vienna sausages. We had to starve him out. We had to get home somehow or other.
I'll tell one on that. It was me and you planting peas or me and Gert.
Oh man, you planted.
Well, we were down in the
Shame on you.
I know.
yeah, the old parent place planting peas. Daddy was planting corn, and he's opening the rows, wasn't he? And we was planting peas behind him. Come along dropping peas.
He's that corn one.
Well, I guess we were planting corn too, because
Well, if he planted corn, he planted peas.
Anyway,
He had peas and corn.
we got tired doing it. So when we got to the end of the row, we dug a hole and buried our peas. Told him we was out of peas.
They all come up.
They all come up.
Well, he used to build caskets for people. I remember Mom talking about somebody, I don't remember who it was, but I remember talking about somebody. They had asked Daddy to build a casket for him because they knew he's going to die. And Daddy built a casket, and Mom said she took some quilts and put inside and fixed it up. And I guess it was just really nice, and they had forgot about it and ordered one, and they brought one, but they seen the one that Daddy built, and it was so much prettier than the one they ordered that they sent that one back. And used Daddy.
He built Moons, who was, I forget what Moon's real name was. We called him Moon. He was 12-year-old. He died of diphtheria. It was our daddy's sister's child. And he built his casket, and Aunt Leo, and do you remember this? And some of the women came up to our house. I remember it was in the winter, and he built it in our living room, actually, that big old, and they padded it and everything and made it real nice. But he built the Mount Olive School, and this Mr. Smith I'm telling you about told us to bought it. He told us that when he was amazed at the way it was built, because he said, and he was a contractor, wasn't he? He said any building just about that he had ever seen, there was always just a fraction of an inch where the corners were off. But he said, not this building, it's perfect.
He also built a great big boat. We used to muscle,
Yeah.
and he built this great big boat so we could all ride in it. And I remember the game warden stopped us one time. Well, it scared us to death because afraid Daddy didn't have his license or whatever. But I guess he did. Because he said, well, I guess I'll get you on having such a big boat.
Well, he built boats. Oh,
We
that,
muscled.
that Brown fella I was talking about, he told me that he used to come up from Sillamore and he'd buy a boat from Daddy, give him $5 for it. He said he'd float back down to Sillamore and gig on the way down there. Said he'd have a mess of fish and he'd sell that boat next day for $10. And he said he had a good thing going, got a mess of fish and made $5.
He built that boat really though so we could muscle.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
dig mussels out of the river.
And I
And we
remember
did.
he could stay underwater longer than anybody ever seen. He had a tub with holes in the bottom of it. He'd sink that tub and he'd go down, there'd be mussels in cracks in the rock. He had to dig them out. Or he'd put them in there and then he would come up for air and then he'd go back down and he'd come back up. He'd have that tub about full of mussel. He'd hold his breath a long time.
He took us all to
Just so
build
kids get
mussel.
scared to death.
He also made them hooks where he hooked them
Catfish.
And hogging them, yeah.
Yeah, we did that. But the mussels, we get a boat of mussels, and then we'd bring them into the flat rocks and cook them in a tub. Get them hot enough, they'd open up. Boy, they smelled horrible. And then after they cool enough, we'd have to take our hands and pull that mussel out of there. And you put those over in a big old can, and Sam would come and get them and feed to his hogs. But they smelled horrible. But that's what we hated so bad, trying to pull that mussel out.
Well, where'd you sell them shells at?
A big truck come and got them and took them to Batesville.
Took-
And they
I
made
bet-
buttons out of them.
I bet you took them to Black Rock because there was a button factory there.
Well, there was in Batesville too, so I think
Yeah.
I think they went to Batesville.
I never did know.
And you,
He give Charlene all the pearls. And
yeah,
she
we
got-
found some pearls, and Charlene got.
You got them pearls.
Did you ever get the pearl? Do you ever know anything about it?
She had a
Yeah.
matchbox full of pearls.
Well, I shouldn't have that many, but
No.
Yeah, I'm talking about a little matchbox.
oh,
Ain't talking about big.
but she did have. Charlene had 2 or 3 pearls, several pearls.
Yeah, she had several.
One of them was pink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can. One time went over to Uncle Orrin's house. Uncle Orrin wanted Daddy to come over and cut hay. Uncle Orrin lived in an old house that was set up on rocks and it set way up on Cow River getting out and getting under it. He had hogs running out everywhere. And he wanted Dad to bring a team over and cut hay. Well, our horses had never been hooked to a team. So I rode old Bob and Daddy led the horses and we crossed the river and went over to Uncle Orrin. When they hooked them horses to that mowing machine, it went to clicking And old Tony was buckskin and striped down his back and striped around his leg. He always looked for a chance to run away anyway. He run away and took off a circle around the house. Me and Orrin was in the house, and he was frying some meat for dinner on the old wood stove. Hogs all run under the house. That corn knocked the blocks out from under it. House fell down on the hog. The grease spilled out of the skillet on there, and hogs was squealing. Daddy was screaming, and the house was sitting like that. It was pretty terrifying. But you could cross the river a lot of time on
Monday morning, because they didn't let the water out of the dam up above us on Sunday. Late Monday afternoon, the river would begin to fill back up. But Monday morning, you could wade it almost.
They started the dam
We
in
did
43.
wade across over there on the other side. But boy, what was really scary that me and Marie died. The Washington boys built them a boat. And they didn't know how to build a boat. Because it was just more like a square box. But they maneuvered around it some. But the river was really up one day. Me and Marie went down there and we got in that boat. And that thing started going down the river.
It got about to
thought
get scared us
yeah, but we finally pulled it to the side down there
and left.
and left. And walked nice
Oh,
and
that was
fast.
dangerous. That was an act of God.
Yeah.
Because the river was up and we was trying to pole it and we found out
Keep from drowning.
it's moving pretty good, the river, and shoot. I was thankful to land that thing.
Well,
I don't know if
that.
Washington's ever found it or not.
I don't know, but I'd say God saved us a lot.
Yeah.
There ain't no doubt looking back, God's hand was on us, because we wouldn't be here today.
As we used to climb spindly trees, get right in the top and try to bend them, ride them to the ground. Well, they could have broke and stuck right in us many a time.
Paula, we lived up on the hill. Paula rode a bicycle from the top of the hill down, and
In the village.
you jumped the road over in that big ditch. Mom and Daddy sitting on the front porch and saw her going. Mom hollered, "Oh, mercy!"
But it didn't hurt
It didn't
me.
hurt
It
her.
didn't hurt me. I got up and got the bicycle and went right back up and come down and I turned the corner that.
I threw Kate off handlebars of the bicycle at Uncle Ewan's one time.
Yeah.
Teeth
And cut her running there.
and
Me and Kate had a game of tag going there one time, lasted over a year. We had that rock that she's got that belongs to me
it don't do it.
over in Aunt Leo's yard, and that was our base. And we'd sit on that rock while we was free. Well, we played tag for it was over a year, I know.
Yeah, we didn't end it. We just remembered who was it.
Talking about mama all the time when I was a kid, all the girls would be going to school. And at Mount Olive, you didn't hear. There might be a vehicle go up the road once a month, and it'd be Gad Jeffrey if it was. And you might hear a motorboat on the river about once every 2 or 3 months, and that'd be Uncle Orrin. He's the only one that had a motor on his boat. And other than that, they wasn't anything unless you might hear a cowbell way off in the distance.
Freight train.
Train come by, and all the girls would be going to school, and it just me and the dog. And it was lonesome. And Mama would sit there, that big old black Bible, and she'd read it all day long. And I ain't have nothing to play with except a dog, unless one of the horses come up or something, and that was it. Boy, it just so lonesome. I was always tickled to death when kids got home from school. And then they was mean to me when they was. I remember I had Sear and Roebuck catalog, and there's a little pedal tractor in there. I just lay in the floor and looked at that tractor. I wanted that thing so bad. Ruth come, she was looking at it, and she took a knife and made a dent in the front of that tractor. She said, now when you get it, it's going to have a dent in it. And that made me so mad, and I bawled and bawled and bawled.
Mama made what clothes we had. She made them.
All of it.
She
Yeah.
made all of them. She even made her coats.
She didn't have patterns either.
No,
She cut them out herself. Yeah, but she did. She made me a coat one time out of. I guess it was somebody else's old coat,
it was.
and it was fuzzy,
It's black.
black, and oh, I loved that coat. And I wore it to school, and I left it down in school. And this twin that we didn't care for too much went down there after school and put that coat in the fire and burned it. And I never did like her after that.
I don't know why Florine did that.
I don't either.
She stayed after school. After we got out of school, she went back to the building and got it and burned it.
Burned it.
I don't know why she did that. But Mama did. She made, and we only got one pair of shoes a year, and that was usually in fall, and they were high top brown shoes.
And we wore them old brown socks.
And when they wore out, the first thing to happen, the sole would come loose and start flapping.
Yeah.
And we'd get a fruit jar ring or something and put over her toe to keep that from flapping.
Baling wire.
Baling wire.
Sometimes we'd use that. And we looked so forward to spring, and Mom always told us, when you see, remember? A yellow butterfly, you can take your shoes off. And we went barefoot all summer.
That's right.
But we'd carry water from the river and heat it, and she'd wash by hand. She done all the canning on the old wood cook stove, and done all the cooking, and everything was done by hand, but we still had time to go visit. We used to, and you'd have to walk a mile to 2 miles to go visit your neighbor, but we still went and visited. And I don't know how we managed to do it, but we did.
We never had a broken bone.
About that.
We wasn't really, once you were sick. But that's about the only time I remember any real bad sickness at all.
Well, didn't Gert have diphtheria?
Gert had diphtheria. I forgot about that. We did think.
Yeah. Mama was a very hard worker. But she had to be to
Yeah.
raise us to have it. But we helped her. I mean, of course, we always raised a huge garden. And it'd be canning time to can.
But they'd stop the freight train down there, and they'd get off freight train, go down and pick our garden.
Well, Daddy did told them. help
Yeah, he told them to.
themselves. They didn't get a whole lot, but they'd always get enough, that
But sometime they'd throw us a candy bar out
they
too.
did do that. They'd freight train go past, and they'd stand back on the coal car where the trains run by coal then. Stand up there. We knew we'd hear it coming, we'd run down there and they'd throw us. Except sometimes they threw them over in that patch of itch.
Yeah.
I thought that was always Henry that did that.
It was Henry
Yeah,
that
he
did
got-
it.
He threw us a newspaper, kid.
He threw some comic books also.
But at night, when the train go through, Dad would jump up and he'd flip that switch on the porch light.
After we got
And it's
electricity.
Now they'd blow the train whistle, responding to it.
Well, didn't he have a job at one time of walking of a night from Mount Olive from up around Crystal, make sure that none of them big rocks on the bluff
I
that
don't know about that.
flew down? He carried a lantern, and then he would flag the train. He'd catch the train back. He'd walk up there, and I don't remember him doing it, but I remember him talking about it.
I don't remember him doing it either.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Seemed like there was a cow track one night.
That's me at Gert's.
Yeah, there was. Yeah,
We tried to
yeah,
drive her
bridge.
across the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got her leg hung in the bridge, the track over the bridge. It scared us to death. So
A lot of people come that bad.
I run to the house and told Mama, and she called Merle Bagel, and they come down in the motor car. He got his crew on the motor car and come down and got her out.
I remember Sam Jeffrey got hung up on the track right there below the house. They said it's time for the train. Edwin took off running as hard as he could run down the track, flagged the train where it get stopped in time. It did. Edwin said, I was scared to death. I don't know what it means to be without a family, because we ain't never been without a family. So to be a family, no, I can't tell you what it really means, because we don't know no different. We just always been that way.
Well, I think it's togetherness and the love we have for one another. And, we're looking forward to get together.
There's just such a strong bond between us. I think it's also because of the way we were raised.
Yeah, we all have common interest. And we miss those that's gone real bad. We was a big family.
Treat others as you want to be treated.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to go. I gotta get home before dark. Can't see.
Well, you better go then.
Well, it don't get dark or what?